Hello, in the last video we had a brief overview on closures. A closure is an inner function that has access to the outer, that is the enclosing function's variable. In our example, the outer function is the enclosing function and the variable that the inner function has access to was this variable myString with the value of JavaScript. To be precise, the inner function's enclosing function was the outer function and the variable that the inner function has access to was the variable myString that was inside of the outer function, that is the enclosed function. In the last video, I might have told that I put a debugger statement at line 11, but what I really meant was I put a breakdown at line 11 and when I executed this code, it entered the debugger mode. Okay, in the last video, we also saw how myString was able to access the value of JavaScript because of the hidden property double square bracket scope. And when we console logged, we got the output to be JavaScript. When we entered the debugger mode and when we stepped down through the code, we saw that inside of the scope box we had a closure with an object of myString and a key of JavaScript. MyString had a value of JavaScript, and when we console logged it, we got the output as JavaScript from this closure. Okay. A closure is an inner function that has access to the outer function's variable. Cool. In this short video, we shall see how the hidden property square bracket scope is able to retrieve the variables, which to our knowledge is destroyed by the garbage collector. Let me close the developer tools. Okay. I hope the zoom is sufficient. Okay, this is fine. Okay. Closures are higher order functions. Higher order function is a function that takes a function as an argument or returns a function inside of a function, and we are returning a function inside of a function, and that is closure. This whole region is the closure. Okay. Now, when JavaScript sees a function being returned inside of a function, it creates an intermediary object with a memory address to the main object. Here, myString with the value of JavaScript has reference to an address of 0x32848343 in the memory heap. Now, when JavaScript sees a function being returned inside of a function, it creates an intermediary object and it has an address of 0x32abf848343 and as a reference to the main object, that is this myString. That is, it has a reference to this object. Okay, here myString is defined inside of the outer function and myString is being called inside of the inner function. That is, myString is being referenced to the referenced inside of the inner function as well. We are calling myString here and we have myString inside of the outer function as well. Now, as I told, I'm repeating it again. When JavaScript sees an inner function, when JavaScript sees a function being returned from a function, it creates an intermediary object. Here, myString from the outer function, that is the myString variable from the outer function, has a reference to this intermediary object, and myString, the variable myString from within the inner function, has reference to this inner object, that is the intermediary object as well. Now, when we console log myString, what's happening is this myString, which was being referenced to this intermediary object, is now being referenced to the main object, and instead of the main object we have the variable myString, and the value of myString is JavaScript. So when we console log myString, we get the output to be JavaScript. This intermediary object as reference to the variable stored in the memory with address. So we have the intermediary object with a memory address of 0x32ab and it is being referenced to the main object 0x32848343 where myString was stored. This is how JavaScript is able to access variables. That is, this is how closures work. This is how the inner function myString was able to retrieve the value of JavaScript. I hope this video was informative. This is it for the closures module. I'll see you in a bit. Thank you.